Hi, everyone. It's Roxanne. Thanks for tuning in this week. This week, I have a colleague that I met, it's almost a year ago now, when we were in New York City. We were both privileged to be working with the motivational speaker Les Brown, and we met at a dinner the night before we were to be on stage. So, hi, Alka. How are you today?
Hi, Roxanne. Pleasure to be on your show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we tried it last time, and there was a bit of
Technical issues, yes.
yes, a lot of loudness, so we had to postpone. But luckily, we were able to do this. So I'm gonna read a little bit about Alka and tell you why I wanted Alka on the show today. So Alka, so she works at her personal journeys in fitness, and she wants to share her love of health and wellness to the community. She basically has three passions, which are dance, kickboxing, and helping people be the best versions of themselves through fitness and being totally empowered. In her early years, she was weight challenged, lacked self-confidence and self-esteem issues, hated her body then, and was wanting to change how she felt in her body. One aspect of her training led to another form of training, and that was to prepare for the world of Latin and ballroom dancing, which I just found out now, not having known this part to Alka, which I'm fascinated by. I love to dance, but I always look at the Latin dancers and I can't keep up. My world was on a high when she said when she started to dance. She was unstoppable. Nobody could stop her. Getting recognition from judges was incredibly feeling like she was Madame Butterfly. I had wings and had freedom to fly. As fitness is a form of dance, this gave birth to her studio, which is in Toronto. And I got a dream. And so today my dream is alive, where she empowers women to take the lead and take control of their lives. Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
So Alka, kind of, you said you struggled, and it's interesting with self-esteem or self-concept, and that got you onto the kind of a path. Where did you grow up? You grew up, I know you're pretty international.
Yeah, I grew up in England. So most of my life has been there. I've been there, most of my adult life. So was in England. So when I say I struggled, very early on, like back in high school, I was bullied. And it was through bullying and being a weight challenge on top of that. I absolutely hated how my body was and how I was looking and how I was feeling. And I was bullied every single day in my, at school. So I was desperately wanting to change how I was looking and, body-wise. And I thought, okay, I need to get help. And that's exactly what that's exactly what I did. So I trained hard, and eventually I was, feeling good through that. And then through one aspect of training, then I said, okay, I'm looking good. I feel great. I was getting toned and everything. And I said, okay, you know what? Dancing was always something that I wanted to do as a child, but I didn't get that opportunity. And then later on, that's where dancing came about. And now I just love doing that. Yeah.
So, for a lot of us, and I just told you that I was able to get out of the gym today, and how I juggle, and it's the first thing that goes.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, it's not the intention to get there, or sometimes if someone's gained, say 10, 15 pounds, it's kind of like, oh goodness, I don't want to go to the gym because I look at the instructor and I think, oh my God, how can I be in her class? I can't do. When you made those steps to start going, how did you talk to yourself, or how did you make yourself take those daily steps to get there? I'm going to assume you probably went several times a week.
Yes, absolutely. So, with anything that you desperately want to do, whether it's exercise, whether it's fitness, whether it's anything speaking, you have to take those steps, and no one's going to do it for you, but you have to be the one to do it. So knowing back in my early years, I was weight challenged, I said, okay, well, I have to do that. I have to make the step. I was getting bullied. I had no friends. how did I want to change my life around? And so I had to be the one to do that. My parents didn't do it. So that's exactly what I did. I plucked the courage and I just walked into that gym. It was terrifying. It really was terrifying. And I said, oh my God, are people going to laugh at me, etc.? And, we may feel like that. So that's exactly what happened. I just plucked the courage and I just walked in, and I began talking to someone, and that's how I got enrolled in that. So you have to take those steps.
Like they say, the baby steps, not to go in and expect that you're going to, maybe do a full class. Or, I know when I'm thinking, okay, if I can breathe in a normal rhythm here and get through this class, I'm successful.
You're fine, yeah.
Sometimes it's just kind of making those small incremental steps, like you said, with goals. Because all of us, with goals, if you think of some of the goals that you have in your life, and I think of some of my goals, some of them are so big that if you think about it, you get paralyzed because you think, how am I going to get there? Right. When you start to break it down a bit at a time, whether it's I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to stay there for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then eventually kind of build off there. And that's kind of what it sounds like that you did. Now, mentally, how did things start to shift for you when you started to go?
Well, that mental shift then begins to happen, because then when I just had the courage and I had to pluck the courage to walk into the gym, mentally, as I was surrounded by people who were fit, I was surrounded by people who were working out, and that gave me the desire, the motivation then to say, okay, you know what, this is the step that I have to take to change my world around. And then mentally, when you're surrounded and you're being in that environment, automatically, you're mentally, it does shift. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's very powerful that doesn't matter what it is that we set out to do, is that when you're in that environment and you're placed there, you have no choice. You look forward, you don't look back. Mm-hmm. So, so mentally, that's exactly what happened. I was just in that environment. I was seeing people day in and day out, and they were just working out. And I said, okay, well, I want to do that. I want to do that. I have to do that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I guess the key is not that I want to do that, but I have to do it because I wanted to change desperately my body, how I was looking, because I hated it. And so I made that mental shift and that physical shift to make the change.
So now you're doing some fascinating things. Like I said, we met in New York last December, where you coach with Les Brown, and I was speaking. You weren't able to.
Was it a year ago?
It was a year ago.
Wow.
well, a month less a year, because it was the beginning of December, and now we're 2 weeks off the beginning of December. So 3 weeks ago, last year is when we met.
Amazing.
I know, and I know Alka had some commitments, so she was flying back to Toronto, and then we realized that we both lived. I live close to Toronto, and we said we would get connected. But she works with one of the best speaker coaches in the world, Les Brown, and I was speaking on his stage, and she wasn't on the stage because she had some commitments back in Toronto. Now, tell me, because I'm listening to you, and you're saying, here I'm saying, I started where I wasn't feeling so good about me, right? For lots of different reasons, I'm going to assume. Like you said, it started with bullying, and that kind of, I'll say that seeps into all that we become if we don't do something different. Then you start to move. How long before you start to dance is my question, because I mean, to get to the point where you're dancing professionally in competitions, I've seen those people, that takes a lot of work.
It does. I know, I don't lie. It's a lot of work, and with my coach. So pretty much what happened. So it was that transitional period that that I was going through. So when I began, as I was working out and my body was changing, my body was looking good and I was feeling great. I had the energy and everything. So dancing was a passion that I just wanted to, that I didn't get the opportunity when I was a child. But then later on, I said, okay, you know what? I just stumbled upon a dance studio and I just walked in and I said, oh my God, this is my dream. This is my dream that I've been yearning as a child, but I didn't get to do that. So I just walked in and I was talking to an instructor, and one thing just led to another. I did my first competition in 2004. And ever since then, I've been competing, and I was on a high. It was that adrenaline, you know, when you go on the dance floor and you feel just amazing because you're surrounded by people. Again, it's that surrounding, it's your environment. And that's exactly what happened. And so now I haven't stopped.
So how long would it take when you're preparing
Yeah.
for a competition? How long do you work at routines before you actually get on stage in a competition?
Right. So I'm working out. My last competition was in 2015. So preparing for that and other consecutive competitions that I've done, it takes literally. I was training literally 3 times a week.
Wow.
3 times a week, and you're practicing. So mind you, back then I was doing 10 dancing. I was doing Latin and ballroom.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, I was doing 10 dances, which is a lot. So yes, I was training 3 times a week. You have to put in that commitment when you know that you know, you want to do the competitions and you want to do the best competitions. And I was doing everything. I was doing Montreal. I've done major competitions, Montreal, Toronto. I've done Ohio Star Ball competition. So yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. So 3 times a week was my training. And then on top of that is the nutritional aspect that you need to take care of. So everything was, and my coach, yeah, he made me he pushed me. He goes, okay, you want to do this? I want you to do that competition. So this is what we have to strive for. And every now and then, I just strive to do my best. When I won one competition and I want to do the next one, I always made, strive to do my best.
Wow, it sounds like a lot of work, and I would think that you would have to kind of parse out daily kind of what you have to achieve, right? Like, I mean, talk about chunking down a goal.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I gotta focus on waltz today, and I gotta do that for an hour and a half, or and then like you said, nutrition. So let's talk a little bit about nutrition, right? Because your gym, and I really want to hear the experience, because with you speak on empowerment of women, and I know obviously, like, every woman wants to do everything, like all of us, right? Like, I mean, even when you're younger and before you have some of us that have kids, most women have kids, and they're trying to juggle all that and keep the business going, or keeping a job and keeping a home and trying to have friends. It's kind of dizzying, right?
It is, yeah.
And even in there, like when you talk about self-confidence, movement is important, but also eating becomes important. So tell me a little bit about kind of what you guys do at the gym with women that might come in. Let's say they're kind of like you, they've never seen, maybe never gone past the front door of a gym, and they're coming in and they're wanting some help. How do you kind of assist them when they come in?
Right. Well, what happens, like, for example, I've got a client and she's been with me now for about a month. So initially, the first time she walked in, as some people, when they walk in, like, they say, okay, I've never worked out. I lack energy. I'm very tired. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do much. So what I say to them is that we have programs, and I just say to them that, okay, so I take them through a step that if you haven't worked out, do something. Don't go and do something that's very high intensity, because you're going to burn out and you may not even come back. Okay, so do something that's very low intensity, like restorative yoga, for example. If you love yoga, restorative is the best, because it's not high intensity. It's not like power vinyasa, although that's for beginners. But I always put them, if you want to do yoga, do restorative. So basically, I just judge by how they're feeling. And if they haven't exercised before and they lack energy and don't want to do much, they haven't done much, then just try something that's very low intensity, something that's very gentle. So and then after a while, when people have done that, then they tell me, okay, well, can I try other classes? And we have a wide variety of classes, from yoga, from Pilates, TRX, which is total resistance exercise. And that TRX is amazing because it's a total body workout. And soon to come, we have aero yoga coming.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I've seen it, but I've never tried it. But I'm thinking, okay, that looks kind of interesting. How do I make sure I don't fall out of those things?
Oh no, it's interesting. I had an instructor who's going to be teaching that class is coming in the new year.
Right.
So then she came in, and because we bought the slings, right? So we told her, okay, well, we've got the slings if you want to come and try it out. And she did, and it looks so much fun, Roxanne.
It does look like fun. It really,
yes,
it looks like you're playing, right? Like, I mean, which, you know,
You're
imagine having fun and then you're working out, right?
Yeah, yeah. So for the viewers who don't know what aero yoga might be, so that is anti-gravity yoga. But it is so good. And if you have back issues, back problems, being inverted is actually very good for you. And you grow an inch taller.
Oh, I need that.
Yeah. You grow an inch taller.
For all the short people there, like 5'1"-ish, probably should try it. Like you're pretty short too.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, like me, yeah. So you know what? Because it decompresses your spine, so that's the benefit of that.
Oh, okay, wow.
So yeah, so we have amazing classes, and women just love it, Roxanne. So when I see them and they choose a modality that resonates with them, that's what gives me the satisfaction. And that's really empowering to know that I'm doing something right.
So that's interesting, right? So as part of their, do you do nutrition with them too, or is that part of?
No, I don't do nutrition.
Okay.
But I am working with somebody. So in the new year, that's going to be starting as well. And also what we're going to be doing in the new year is doing workshops.
Okay.
So I'm going to be having like health professionals to come in and, you know, just talk to my clients, so they get empowered to get the knowledge of what they have to do. And,
right.
You know, and it's all about health and wellness, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's, I mean, our entire body, or you know, our thoughts, our feelings, and our body are all one. And I mean, like, you're right. When you start to move, then you start to think, wow, I just did a burpee. Like, you know, I can do, you know, and then you realize, oh my God, I've done 50 burpees, no big deal, which I never knew what that was, because I never grew up in North America, but I used to hate those damn things, right? And, you know, and then you kind of realize, wow, they're the hardest. I used to hate them, and now I can do them. So it's like, you're right, that mental is like, anything's possible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So can I ask you, so now do you love them?
Yes, I do now. At first, I hated them because I always felt like, okay, am I doing it? Or I look stupid doing these. And then I'd be like, okay, I can't do more than 3. And then what would happen is, we used to, you know, when you go into those different classes where you go to stations, and then before you know it, you'd go up there and it'd be like, okay, on the board says 50 burpees. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to go through that. And then before you know it, a couple months in,
you've done it.
No, it's like no big deal. It's on the chalkboard. You go up there, and that's one of the stations, and then you're doing it. So you're so right when you say, you know, you take the step, and then all of a sudden your body, you know, starts to say, well, you can do it. And then you think, wow, this is possible. Like, you know, or even the TRX, which can be quite difficult, you know, but once you start to do it, how you could kind of, again, you feel it in your body, and then you know, and then mentally you feel stronger, and emotionally you think, I can do it.
That's right. That's right.
So when you talk about women's, sorry, go ahead. When you talk about women's empowerment, and tell me about your speaking, because I know that you've been speaking, and that's the topic that you speak about. Tell me where the speaking got birthed and when you decided to start to speak.
Right. So speaking too is a passion, and I just felt that I wanted to follow all my passions, and you have to. So on my tombstone, I don't want to have that regret. I don't want to, you know, be on my tombstone to say I didn't do it.
Mhm.
Like Nike said, you got to do it. So that's exactly what I did. I'm following my passion, and I just felt and I feel that this is what I was meant to do. People have to hear my voice, and it's my message, and that's the most important thing. It's my message that I want people to know my journey, everything that I've gone through, and to the woman that I am today, and what I truly stand for. So that's what really empowers me, knowing that I have this voice and I have this message that I want people to know. That if you have a story and you've faced adversity, you've had challenges, you've had roadblocks in your life, do not let that stop you.
Mhm.
Do not let that stop you, because that will hinder every aspect of your life. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm just following what I was meant to do, and that is my message and my story, so that people can be motivated and be inspired by that.
And it's so true, right? Because we all have stories. When somebody says to me, and they, they might see you or I and say, you've been doing it for a long time. And I said, 8 years ago, yes, I've spoken corporately, but I'd never spoken professionally or motivationally. And I had that idea in my brain, like you did. And I always loved speaking, but it was scary for me, right? Here I am. I've got the background. And then I write my book, and then I'm thinking, now I'm going to speak about it. Talk about, that gremlin in my brain saying, who do you think you are?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm thinking, because I could talk about other people's stuff, not a problem. I've been doing that for years. But when it came to telling my own story and that's where I got a lot of second guessing myself and stuff like that. And then again, getting the right people, you're so right, to help me through that, to say, what have you been doing since you were 21? I go, well, I've been helping people. Okay, what are you writing about? I'm talking about relationships and helping people. So who says you're not an expert to be able to talk about it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But sometimes it's just having somebody around you say that. So is that when you decided to start speaking, where did you go? Did you go straight to the Les Brown Academy, or did you do other things before you actually got on stage?
No, I didn't. I actually, because I knew then speaking, was a platform, and that was something that I just wanted to get into, and I didn't know how. So, I just saw Les at an event, and I just signed up for one of his courses, and pretty much that's how it started. So now that he does coach me, it's cool because I get to see how I am in terms of my delivery when I'm speaking. So having someone who's there to mentor you, having someone who's there who sees you, that how you can do it and how you can be as a speaker, it's amazing, because we all need that, because sometimes when you're in the picture you can't see the frame.
Isn't that the truth? I like that line.
But that's true.
Yes.
Picture, how do you see the frame? So you can't see anything that's around you. So if someone's that looking on the outside and they see how you're doing, that is a tremendous help. And to having a coach, having a mentor is great, because we all need that.
And absolutely, because I think of yourself, like steps you're talking about, and a bit about you had been through some adversity that you actually share on stage. Do you actually share about some of the steps of adversity you went through? So someone would probably not think about that if they were just to see you, right? They would think, oh, well, what does this? I mean, this woman she's intelligent, she's beautiful, all those things. She's a business owner, but they don't realize, what path you took.
Yeah.
Right, to be able to get there, right? And they assume that all of a sudden you're there and you're polished and all those things. They don't see all those things that you went through in order to get you there.
Right. Yeah, you're right. People may not see that. Looking at me, they may not see that. They think, everything's perfect. But no, once you get to know me, there is a deeper. There's a deeper. Message that I do have, and that is that each and every one of us, we've all faced with adversity at one point, and for me, it was like it was very traumatic. Something that I wouldn't want to wish upon anyone. But having said that, is all the experiences that I have gone through, that we go through, that only makes us stronger, and it's made me so much stronger that I could accomplish anything because of my story, because of my experiences. And I think it's the experiences that you go through, that you're faced with, truly makes you who you are today. So
Absolutely.
I'm very yes, and I'm very grateful to that, because if I didn't have those experiences, I would not be able to share with anyone, and I would not be able to share my message to the world that needs to hear that.
You know what I love about your story is the links, right? Because how you, like you said, why were you bullied? Was it, why did kids, was there any particular reason, or there was just, was this in England when you were in primary school in England?
Yes, exactly. No, they just bullied me because the way that I looked, and they were just picking on me.
Okay.
They were just picking on me.
And how many people really in listening could probably relate to, at some point of their lives, if it wasn't even as a child, corporately even, or being a female in a certain environment, or even a man in a predominantly female environment, we've all had some sense that we've been treated badly, right? And and then you kind of go, oh my God, this is only happening to me. It doesn't happen to anybody else. But really, when we start to talk, we realize how much of a commonality that is. And even with myself in my consulting, when I'll talk to people, I'm always shocked, Alka, how many people will talk about bullying experiences and how it imprinted them about their perception of themselves in the world. And then they'll be coming to me in their 50s or the 60s, and they're still talking about those times when this happened or that happened, or nobody protected me, because they get triggered back to that spot. And if they don't clear it up, they're basically bringing the past with them.
That's right. That's so true. Exactly. So sometimes when we have those baggages, and we see something that's going to be happening in the future, you absolutely cannot carry that baggage that you've had in the past, dictate what you're going to be doing in the future with the partner, with anyone, because that's going to hinder you, and that's really not good. How can you move forward when you have something that's at the back, right? You can't.
Yes. It gets heavier and heavier if you don't, if you don't deal with it. I always, these are the things that I say to people when I coach them or see them in practice. I say, you have to honor it. It happened. You got to bear it. You got to go to the root of that dandelion, because if you lob off the top, it's going to grow back again, and you're going to let it go. Because if not, and you don't, think about all the things that have maybe happened in your life, or for people listening. In my life, I know I've had a ton of things happen. If you don't, deal with it as it happens, how heavy is that load going to be?
Oh, it's so heavy. Exactly. It's so heavy because and it's kind of draining, right? It's kind of draining.
Yeah.
So, so with my experience, what I found was that, I just had to forgive. And forgiveness, Roxanne, is huge too. You have to. Sometimes people say, oh my God, why do I have to forgive? Well, yes, you have to. If you want to move forward with your life, and you meet somebody and you want to move forward, say, for example, with that person, you have to forgive your past. You have to, because forgiveness, we become light. Just like you mentioned, perfect, is that, you feel heavy, right? So when you start to forgive your ex, your partner, whoever, your friend, you will feel so much better and you feel lighter. When that load is lightened, you think, oh my God, why didn't I see that before? Why didn't I do that before? Right. But it's never too late. Yeah.
No, and it never is. And I think, that's the thing, right? A lot of people that have been through bad things that don't deal with it, they become avoidant. They're afraid then to go back and feel, I think of when I went through my tough time with my separation, or I had a loss in my family 2 years ago. Horrific time, right? And, there's a human instinct into us that none of us want to feel pain. We're not wired to deal with pain, so we avoid it, and then we kind of make up a story, and then we figure out an excuse, And before you know it, it's kind of going off, like fireworks all over our lives. It needs to be addressed, but we keep avoiding it. And the more that we avoid it, then it gets bigger, like to your point. And then you have an opportunity to do something grandiose in your life, like have a fantastic relationship, or an opportunity to be able to go into, say, a dance competition, and then you play small.
Exactly, that's right. Exactly. You play small and, you feel, okay, well, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. And so you give up, right? And so you give up on life. And why should you have to do that?
So when you talk to women on stage, tell me what you tell them, because I'm not saying it. I'm sure there's men on here too listening as much as there are women, but any of us that have been through a tough time, what kind of words of wisdom could you give someone that's listening and saying, yeah, okay, that's all well and good. It's easy for you to say. What do you share with women or, people when you meet them to empower them to connect to themselves?
Right. So pretty much what I would say is that whatever, we've all been through adversities, and whatever challenges and roadblocks that you've had, and if, say, for example, you want to get into, you want to get fit, you want to get into that fitness realm, right? I would just say, okay, well, what you need to do is, first of all, just recognize yourself. Just have that mental chatter. And that's what I did. I had that mental chatter saying, okay, you know what, can I do this? No, I can't do that. So once you begin to really value yourself, and it's all about valuing yourself and your self-worth, and knowing you are so much better, you are greater than what you expect that you are, then taking those steps one at a time will actually lead you get to where you want to go. So you want to get fit, then you will go into the gym, and then you start to choose the workouts you want to do. So everything is like a climbing, it's like amino acids, building blocks of protein. But you're building the mountain, you're climbing the mountain, but taking those small little baby steps initially to get to where you want to go. And that's how you feel empowered. So when people, first of all, when they see me, they think, oh my God, well, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with you. Like, you look perfect. But they don't know the deeper issues that are underlining the message that I have. So same like with anyone else, when you have faced those roadblocks, and the adversities that you've gone through, and you're saying to yourself, no, but I can't do this. No, but I want to do this, but how can I do that? Yes, you can. Yes, you can be inspired to do that. So you just have to take the sort of baby step and just, say to yourself and have those, mind chatters that say, okay, you know what? Yes, I'm worthy of that. Yes, my self-worth is so much higher. When you begin to say that, Roxanne, you're giving positive affirmations. And then everything does begin to take flight. And then you achieve that.
Right. And then I often say that, I think that when I was separating and things were pretty tough with me, and when I couldn't lower the voice because so much was going on, I would just surround myself with my best friends who would be louder than me. And I threw, every year I threw big birthday parties for myself. Do I remember what I did at those? No. We just got together and we talked and we laughed. Was I sad? Absolutely. But at least it was, so that whole element of, like you said, when you go to the gym or wherever you go, I don't care where you go, and you start to say, is where I'm around, is that helping me or hurting me?
Yeah.
And who am I surrounding myself with? And what we know about resilience is going towards versus stepping aside, because the instinct with all of us is to protect, to just kind of hide ourselves. Even like you'll see people like that when they're depressed, they kind of fold into themselves. And then when you start to open up, even if you're not feeling it, but you're around people that say, of course, Alka, you're this or you're that, and then you kind of go, oh, maybe I am, even if you're not feeling it at that time. Right. Versus if you surround yourself with people that are not giving you something positive to hold on to, it becomes a little bit more difficult, because we all get through things. But sometimes it takes longer and harder times to get through if you're not doing some of those basic things.
Exactly, and surrounding yourself by people, friends who are there to encourage you to, like, take you out of the rut that you're in.
Right,
Then you
absolutely.
feel so much better. So sometimes, yeah, you need to be around people who are going to uplift you, people who support you, people who are going to say, okay, you know what, I believe in what you're doing. But maybe sometimes you don't see that, but other people do. And just surround yourself by people who are going to be positive, people who are going to support you. It doesn't matter what you're going to do.
Because at some point you're going to pick up the baton yourself, right? There's two parts that we know about self-esteem. Self-esteem might be initially kind of surrounding yourself with people that are good to you, but at some point you're going to have to pick up that baton on yourself, own when people aren't there, right? Because you have to
Exactly.
be able to do it to yourself. So it's having the capacity or the ability to recognize that now I can start doing some steps on my own without completely being surrounded with people that have to reinforce me all the time.
Exactly. So they can reinforce you, but then absolutely correct. You have to then take that step and do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. So for people wanting to kind of hear more about you, where do you speak? Tell them about the gym. I know it's in Toronto, so for people listening, because we have listeners all over, where can they, can they come and check out the gym? Can they go online and check out the gym? Those types of things. And where are you speaking next, or where do you want opportunities to speak next, where people can reach you?
Well, I'm sure there will be some speaking engagements coming up. I don't know where I'm going to be speaking next, but hopefully, maybe in the new year, there may be some. But in terms of my studio, yes, I would welcome you. I would love for you to just come on in. If you're in the Toronto area, do come and say hi, and I would love to meet you. So, yeah, this is my studio. The address is 7163 Yonge Street in Thornhill. You can go to my website, alkastotalfitness.com, or you can email me or just call me. My phone number is 416-565-4962. And if you are in the Toronto area, I would love to see all of you, and I would love to say hi. So just come on by. Don't be shy.
Okay, we'll have to make sure I pack my running shoes next time I come to Toronto and come
Yes,
by. And
I'd love for you to get a good workout too.
now that I'm actually, putting myself back there, so
That's great.
this has been. I'm glad we spent the time, and when I listen to you, I think, put on the shoes, get out there and move.
Yes. Gotta get the movement. Yeah.
Just move. And then you go from incremental steps to being able to dance in ballroom competitions, to being able to talk to other people, or mostly women. And I know we, as women, we second guess ourselves a lot. Unfortunately, I think it's getting better in
It's getting better, yeah.
generation, but
Right.
even in our time, probably it was less so. So it's nice to be able to see that you're out there helping women see what maybe at times they may not see in themselves, or they may be it's difficult for them to make that step.
Absolutely. And, that's what gives me the greatest satisfaction, knowing that if I can help them to help them to whatever they're going through, and just be there and support them in that time. So whether it's fitness, whether it's anything, I just want to be that support.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
Yes.
Well, you keep up the good work. And for everyone listening, please reach out to Alka if you're ever wanting to find out more about some of the things she's done. So again, confidence is something that you don't just get. It's by taking steps daily. And the more connected you get to yourself, talk a lot about authenticity and mental wellness. That starts with something as small as taking a step, or learning to slow down your thoughts, or really kind of sitting in silence and really kind of listening to what your body is telling you. Doesn't take something, doesn't have to be dramatic, like, going on like a full day hike. It could be something really, really small. And for anyone wanting more information on me, you can go to roxanderhodge.com/blueprint, where you can sign up for a free course that will help you to learn some more strategies to get more connected to yourself. So take care, everyone. Take care, Alka, and we'll talk to you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.